Hey everybody in YouTube land, this is Alex from Men Are Speaking. I always get inspired by YouTubers that just turn the camera on and start talking. It just seems so easy, but I know that's really difficult, actually. You have to compose your thoughts on the fly as you go and stay interesting the entire time. You have to pay attention to the way you speak, but also what you say. I do scripted content on here too, much more rarely. I think I've just done one. Two if you count the Cinderella one. I really like the Cinderella one. It was a real short and sweet one. But I think it turned out well. It made a pretty good point. The TLDR on that one is that if you're a really high value guy, right, as they say it, or a Henry high earner, not rich yet. If you're a quality dude, you kind of want a really simple, just hardworking woman. You don't want a complicated woman because you have enough complication in your life. It's just about complementaries, right? Okay, so that out of the way. I want to talk about, just a little bit of a subject, just a small subject, why the West is constantly falling. All right. The whole there's a thing called the fourth turning. In concept, it's this. I haven't read the book, but in concept, it's this. It's summarized by the little adage of good times, strong men create good times create weak men creates bad times, and bad times make strong men make good times. And it cycles over and over again. This cycle is actually not that usual for most of the world. Now, you can make it a generational cycle, so it's strictly one generation after another. You can also just observe that, yeah, sometimes stuff rises and falls, right? It's the regularity at which it happens is when you know that you're falling into this fourth turning thing. And I always wonder about that, right? Because not every civilization falls into that. I think even there's another YouTuber and a professor is named Academic Agent. He observed in a stream a while ago, he sort of let slip his observation that the Chinese don't really change like over thousands of years. We don't change. I'm half Chinese. Surprise, surprise. My mom is actually from her genetic line is Northern English. So now you get to see what it looks like when a Chinese person and a Northern English mate. It looks like this, which I'm fine with it. I've got great hair from the Chinese side, and I'm 6 foot tall from my mom's side, so I'm happy with that. Anyways, yeah, the Chinese people don't really change. I just saw a really cool YouTube video that shows an ancient bridge techniques. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put that up here in a second. Let me see, side by side, pop over here, go to YouTube. Not that one. I apologize if this is a little bit of dead air. I just realized that I'd saved this just like a second ago. So I'm just going to put this over here. Can I mute it on my end? I don't know how to mute on my end, but there it is. You can see it. It's not making any noise for you, but I can hear it. So I'll try not to let it distract me. But anyways, it's showing this bridge making technique. Now, in the comments, someone mentions that this bridge making technique is from the Neolithic era, like 7,000 years ago. And you're going to find bridges like this made in Japan and China today, right? Obviously, the areas of China that were taken down by communists are going to have less of this going. Oh, there's a mute. Okay, thank God. That was really annoying. Of course, communist China got rid of a lot of their old traditions, but this guy is using a tradition that's 7,000 years old, allegedly, right? So this is ancient, like old, like Bronze period ancient, or even the Stone Age ancient, okay? And how to build a bridge. So these people don't suffer really from the fourth turning. They don't have these massive epic rise and falls. Like dynasties will come and go, but the people are more or less the same all the time. Like the people don't really change. I'll take my social media handles off there. You're already here, so you don't need to know where I am. Anyways, so how do you get this sort of stability? Well, first off, I like to call it, instead of strong men creating good times, it should be pretty brawny lads making okie dokie times, right? You don't have to make the times so damn good. Sometimes it's good to have some things be bad. Sometimes it's good to have work to do, right? You could make this bridge better, maybe, but why do you have to do that? Why must you purify everything you do? Why everything must be so refined that the next generation has no need to maintain it? That's the big point I'm trying to make. When you make good times too good, the next generation will have nothing to maintain. It'll just be there, and they will have no, it's like the Canterbury cathedrals. Could the people of Canterbury build that cathedral again? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, we can hardly build any of the stuff we have anymore because we had it too good. One of the problems that I'm going to get, the other problem that I'm going to get to here, this is going to be like a sensitive spot, is that Europe was ruled by nobles, okay? Whereas you can see this guy's basically a peasant, okay? We peasant max in China. I'm going to actually put this over here so no, just like that. I gotta make things complicated. There we go. I'll just extend this so you don't have to see my face twice. There we go. Like, this guy's a peasant. He doesn't look like a noble, right? He doesn't look like a trained engineer either. He's just doing his thing. And it seems like the nobles were the ones that sent people to academies. It was the noble class that had all of the engineers. It was the noble class that had pretty much built all of Europe. And everyone was kind of a peasant. And there were peasant homes like thatched roof cottages and stuff like that. The peasants had good stuff too. But the nobles had institutionalized, like with factories, had pretty much grabbed addressed all of the needs of the people from such a small base of people. The nobles now owned the factories, they owned the banks, they owned everything, and the people just had to sort of show up to the factory and work. The people had to just show up and work. Well, eventually the nobles lost a lot of the power they had through different constitutional compromises between noble classes and those peasants. So the nobles no longer had this big incentive to really care about the peasants because the nobles didn't own the peasants. Right? So the way that the European system in the West works is that they have to own the peasants to have any sort of incentive to help the peasants. Does that make any sense? Right? Because if these peasants are free, then they don't belong to me. Right? So why would I care about stuff that doesn't belong to me? Why would I care about your well-being if I can't tax you, if I can't take from you, if I don't own you in a way? Right? You're a free agent. Go out and enjoy your freedom. The problem is that these industrialized techniques had pretty much erased a lot of the peasant culture of the West. So now a lot of people are not self-reliant. It's like a big novelty to have chickens, or it's like a big, oh wow, that's a really cool skill to work with stone. It's like there's stones everywhere. You can't just pick a stone up and like carve it and make a little wall for your garden, just like regular wall. Like make a retention wall. Just keep a little bit of this tradition alive. So instead, it's just a couple of stonemasons who have managed to survive this long, who do a lot of the stonework, and it's a dying art, right? And once that dies off, you're going to be dependent on the cement factory, who is owned by some noble in a commercial sense. And that's how you're going to have to live. But my tribe, the Hakka tribe, Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore had a great speech where he said that we don't really trust governments. The Hakka tribe is my Chinese tribe. We don't really trust governments ever, and we try to be self-reliant. Like if there's an issue, we try to resolve it ourselves, and the government is like a last resort, and we still don't trust it. Let's see if I can make this thing disappear. There we go. By relying on your institutions, you're actually taking power out of your own hands, which leads to instability. So what ends up happening is you have some hero, some Caesar, some great leader come in with the institutions, solve all of your problems, and then the great leader has no real reason to stick around and continue leading, so then things just fall apart again. So until the actual people, start learning how to live on their own without any help or assistance, you will constantly have these rises and falls. That's what the Roman Empire, like the famous picture of the fourth turning is like the fall of the Roman Empire. Well, these people were institutional. They were dependent on Rome for their bread. They were dependent on Rome, the Roman government, for all sorts of stuff. Dependency on government institutions is actually what causes the fourth turning to occur. And if you take a look at Europe, you could definitely see that they're falling apart because they're very reliant on institutions. Like, I went to school to learn physics, but I self-taught myself how to be an engineer, and I self-taught myself how to program, and I self-taught myself how to design circuit boards, and I self-taught myself almost everything, right? Like this guy probably didn't go to a school, the guy that you're watching right now. He probably didn't go to a school for this. He might have just learned it from his dad, or he figured it out himself. Like nowadays you can watch YouTube videos, and back in the day it was basically YouTube and Wikipedia was my education, and then a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in the lab trying to figure out stuff that wasn't on there. I remember spending an entire week in the lab nonstop, like Sir Isaac Newton style, learning how to do spice models. Well, that ended up on my resume though, and all of a sudden I have all this stuff that I wasn't dependent on my university for on my resume that makes me stand out. That it's just crazy. And I have stuff I can talk to with the old timers because the old timers know how spice models work, right? How they actually open the model up and change the semiconductor simulation parameters. of the particular semiconductor so you can make corrections, or you could test edge cases, right? Like let's say there's a pull-up, internal pull-up resistance, effective impedance, right? A pull-up impedance of a certain amount, but there's an edge case because you got a bad lot from the factory, or you got an edge lot from the factory that's actually exacerbated. And you can start doing stack ups and figure out, okay, if this is the worst case and that's the worst case and that's the worst case. And that's a story I could tell when I'm getting a job interview. And it makes it look like I have like 10 years of experience when I actually have technically only like 0. I'm out of college, but I did internships, so I had some experience there. Institutions do not want to hire people who are dependent on institutions. Does that make sense? That is one of the biggest points that I've learned over the course of talking in this video right now, actually, when I'm reflecting on it. I learn by talking. That's why I do YouTube. So if I say stuff that's out of turn, I don't mean it like, nothing I say is set. I'm like Elon Musk. I'll just say stuff because it sounds right, and then I'll see how it sticks. Anyways, institutions do not want to hire people that need institutions. If you need your university to be an engineer, you probably shouldn't be an engineer. Like you should be building rockets in your spare time and figuring out how they work, and then bringing that knowledge to the university, right? The university is there to help you along your journey. It is not what conducts your journey. You conduct your journey. And the institutions don't want more dependent people. They want people who can figure problems out themselves and then contribute to the institution, right? Institutions do not want dependence. And corporate America and corporate everything, like any employer is an institution. Okay, I hope that makes sense for you guys. The dependency on people to come and save you, that's like, oh, Caesar needs to come and save you. No, you save you. You save you, all right? Like, I've been criticized for having like a lack of national loyalty. People ask like, what happens if America falls? I'd be like, I'll leave. I didn't make it fall. Why should I have to pay the price and be here? A bunch of other knuckleheads made it fall. I voted the right way. I did the best I could. Like, I'm not going to sit here and like go over the top in the trenches and get shot because a bunch of other people made a mistake. I don't care what flag they have behind their desk. All right. Like I am me. I'm my responsibility. And my family is my responsibility. I'm a family man first. Family before country, always, in America, at least. If you have this dependency on institutions, you will be at the mercy of the cycle. If you don't, you get to be Amish. Those people don't care. I mean, they don't like it when their property taxes go up, but like they don't care that much that things are rising and falling. I have my own little farmette here, which my dentist lady calls it, my dental hygienist called it, and I love that name, farmette. It's a little homestead. So egg prices shot up. I didn't care. I'm not institutionally dependent. I'm not dependent on institutions to get my eggs. I have my own chickens. I feed them scraps. I feed them a little bit here. I think I calculated it was about 12 cents per egg, or no, it was 8 cents per egg with the laying rate, the feed rate, all that stuff. It was about 8 cents per egg. So for me, a dozen eggs is not very much at all. Anyways, the point I'm trying to get at is the more dependent you are on the system, the more you're going to see the cycles. And the more dependent your society is at large on institutions, the more you're going to see these cycles. Okay. I've got country people out here that they say nothing's changed in the last 70 years. I'm like, that sounds like a nice way to live. I wish nothing changed. That'd be great. I'd love it if stuff stopped changing for like I wish stuff would stop changing every week right now, especially if you pay too much attention to the political cycle, right? Self-reliance is not an absolute, but just not being dependent on these institutions will help you avoid a lot of this. I hope this is helpful. I hope you find a way to be independent of institutions. Maybe downsizing is always good because we've been groomed. I think groomed is actually a good word for this. We've been groomed to be consumers, and you have to pretty much deprogram yourself from that. Okay, so most of us are all living above what we need to have. Now, it doesn't mean we got to live in a pot like Diogenes, drink out of puddles with our hands, but maybe there's some things that'd be an easy thing to lose and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Maybe a cheaper car. I don't know. I can't tell you how to live your life. You shouldn't need me to tell you how to live your life. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up, get my face on here. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe. I very much appreciate your help in the algorithm, and I will see you guys later.